was football last week at Happy Valley. This week it's the Craig and Gower Cricket Club Challenge Cup, which will be handed out as our feature race at the City Circuit. A very warm welcome to Racing to Win, your one-stop shop for Hong Kong racing. I'm Andrew Lejeune, joined here in the studio by Paul Lally, our former analyst and race caller, Brett Davis as well. Brett, as always, very competitive card, decent class too as well.
There is, Andrew. Yeah, that's coming up a little bit earlier. The feature, of course, is a Class 4, the Craig and Gower Cricket Club Challenge Cup. They've been sponsoring a race at the Valley for many a year. Great to have their support again. I think there'll be some very tactical battles looking at the program. There's a couple of sort of smallish fields, and I think we'll have some interest with the speed maps a little later on when we talk about them. Differing opinions, which is often the case in racing in general. But, yeah, good night. Yeah,
and speaking of good as well, Paul, the jackpots in the TT and the 6-up as well.
Monsters, aren't they? 8.4 is the triple trio, and we've got just over 3 million as well for the 6-up win bonus. So some really good jackpots there. There's a couple of fair starters. I think one in particular looks quite interesting from the Michael Freedman stable later on in the card.
Yeah.
For the 6-up players anyway. But triple trio, I think we all like one in each of the legs. So.
Half the job's done, isn't it?
Well, so they say, Andrew. Yes, rails in the A course as well, so we're back to the true position regarding the rail.
All right, well, more on Happy Valley very shortly. Let's look back on an exciting weekend's action, though, at Sha Tin. Centennial Vase was the big race. Group 3, but some quality animals in here. 1,800 metres was the trip. There wasn't any obvious pace, so Joe Moreira jumped to the front, and that's where he stayed.
It was a one-act affair, really. They went reasonably very slow. Well, they went very slow sectionals through that first half, and Joe was just able to outride the opposition, really. No one pressured him too much. Having said that, if you go up and pressure him, obviously it sort of takes potentially the cushion or the sting out of your horse. But quick backup from John Size. Hasn't been done that often, but it's been done with success there.
Yeah, he stole it, didn't he, Joe? Really, no one took him on, and it was sort of reminiscent of Time Warp, I thought, in the Cup.
Yeah.
Same sort of ride, and he won it well.
I did read some quotes from John Size saying that it's easier to do the backup in this sort of weather as well. That being cold, it doesn't take as much out of them. So that was in the back of his mind. Goldmount finishing second, carved out some serious fractions, but just had too much ground to make up.
Yeah, when the first half is slow, and it doesn't matter how fast you finish. If the leader's finishing fast as well, it's always difficult. But he's been a real good money spinner. Donoso. John Size mentioned he wasn't sure what was coming up for him after the race on Wednesday and then the one on Sunday, but I guess, you know, maybe the Gold Cup's got to be some type of option for him, you would think. He's going that well. Eagle Way ran a creditable race and Goldmount as well.
Yeah, I thought that the disappointment of the race were the 2 4-year-olds. I mean, they had the conditions of the race to suit. Rivet was the better one of the two. He did run on a little bit, but I thought Rivet was very disappointing.
Yeah, all right. Well, Size Moreira had a pretty good afternoon with 4 winners in total. This is another one, Victory. First up, last time we saw him beat 50-50, and here he made mincemeat of them.
Look, he'd put on all his weight over the off-season, and he had a couple of issues with his cannon bone, but he showed none of that. Obviously, he's growing a little bit in that period as well to put that weight on. And he just won easy. He's got plenty of rating points in hand. It was a great win.
This was an annihilation, really. It wasn't just a win, was it? It was a very, very solid performance. Just a canter to the wire, really, from Victory. I thought he might struggle a little bit first up, but he's gone the other way. He's just got better. As Paul mentioned, he had that sort of bone injury, but that might have been a blessing. He's put weight on, obviously strength too, and annihilated the field. Another one goes into the black book from the John Size yard. So many good horses.
If he'd have started Size his season on New Year's Day, he'd still be sitting 5th in the trainers' title.
It's often the case, Andrew.
Unbelievable list. The January's had, and then a 4-timer on Sunday.
Yeah.
And Moreira obviously clearing the Jockeys Premiership too.
Yeah, and Paul O'Sullivan had a great day as well with 3 winners on the trot. Yeah, so a big afternoon for Paul. Got a Quinella as well in one of those races.
Yep, no, it was a good afternoon for him, and Grade 1 won well, didn't he?
Yeah, Downing Super Missile, of course. We're going to have a look at some of the ratings changes. Of course, the moves, Donoso being one of the main ones, now up to 114, so he's well into group company. Pinghai Star, he's still in the Derby.
He's got to go for the Classic Cup, I would have thought, for sure, Andrew. I know John Size has sort of said he wants to keep him at the sprinting distances. It's worth noting, though, that race he won on the weekend, there was a $750,000 bonus attached to that Class 2. So now that they've achieved that, I think that opens the doors a little bit more to other options like the Classic Cup and potentially the Derby. There's only, one derby for 4-year-olds. It's not a race you generally want to miss if you've got some type of chance in it. I think they'll go for it. Yeah,
it was good. Rule there, he was a strong winner as well, up 9 points.
Yeah, super effort. We'll see that in a minute because it features, or he features, in our horses to follow. There'll be lots of talk of derbies, Paul. I think your horse has a derby entry, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does, Beauty Miles. He's had a lot of problems since he's been here, but with John Moore with his hoof and whatnot. But it's starting to come right. He's managed to get a bit of work into him. He wasn't fully tuned up for this, but I just really like the way he finished off the race. You can see in the beauty colours there, he gets to the outside and he finishes off the race really nicely, eye-catching 5th. So onwards and upwards for him, and hopefully he's turned the corner. He's over his problems. He did run, he was called Prince Hareem back in New Zealand and did win some good races over there.
There's a lot of horses that are sort of behind the 8 ball out there that are trying to chase a spot for the Classic Cup, Classic Derby. Riven's probably one in that category, but you've always been a fan of him, Paul Beauty Miles.
I think he's a good horse, so hopefully he can come out and show it next time. I think he's not far away.
All right, and there's a couple of first starters, one in particular, Sean, I think, on the weekend, Brett.
Yeah, I'm going to label Car Ying Brilliance. When they cornered for home, the 3 newbies in the race were third last, second last and last, but this guy, as green as the grass he's running on, very raw. You can see here he's just lengthening on just pure ability. He's still a little bit apprehensive about other horses around him. If you go back and have a look at the first half of the race, he did quite a lot of things wrong, including getting out of the gates. But there's some horses in this race that are pretty handy. Have Fun Together, Speedy King, both handy types. Butte obviously went enormous there, and he's rock hard fit. So for a horse to do that on debut, positive signs heading forward, I would have thought.
It's good to see Butte do that because he's been wayward himself, Butte, coming around corners and whatnot. So he's sort of the pennies dropped for him.
Touch of patience as well with him might have helped too.
All right, a derby entrant for me as well in Grand Chancellor. So I'm not saying he's necessarily a horse to follow into the derby, but just this run. This is actually Rule Lee wins the race, did it very impressively. You can see him there in the green jacket. O'Sullivan actually Quinella it. But the 2 horses in front of Grand Chancellor here, Jolly Jean and Super Chic, just fell back in his lap at exactly the same time. Left Berry nowhere to go, so just has to sit and suffer, wait, come round and then kick. The race is over at this point. So, is he going to be a horse for the Classic Cup or the derby itself? Time will tell, but I think there's certainly races in him. So I'll be keeping an eye on him, definitely backing in handicap company too. All right, suspensions. Well, nothing on the weekend. So we're going back to Happy Valley last week. Caris Teton on Showing Character, picked up a couple of days, and Alexi Bedell on Bold Stitch in the last race there, 2 days, 21st and the 26th. Now, that's not the only news from this week. Everyone's favourite internet sensation. Pakistan Star was back in the trials. He got past 2. See him jumping out here down to 1,600 metres. Now, this is where he's had the problems in the past. But on Tuesday morning, Joe was very positive out of the gates. And I don't think there were too many signs of him of stopping at all.
Yeah, well, as you said, Andrew, 2 jump outs and 2 trials are required. He's had the 2 jump outs. This is the first trial. So there's probably one more still to come, but all is looking okay. Obviously, some therapy has been needed for Pakistan Star, and a worthy recipient of that therapy too, I might add, considering what he's done on the racetrack prior to his little issues. But encouraging signs. It'll always be in the back of everybody's mind as to what he does, but I guess what he needs to do is now pass the next trial, go back to the races, perform, and then probably put another couple of performances underneath the belt, and then obviously it'll sort of fade off into the distance, hopefully.
Well, that first part of the race is the worrying, first part of the trial, I say, is the worrying one. From here on in, we just assume he's going to coast fine. That's Romantic Touch in front, the stablemate, Paul. They've got a solid hit out here. There's Doyene's in there as well. It's just a trial, obviously, but he looks good.
Yeah, he does. He was with Romantic Touch the whole way, so it was almost like he had a bit of a mate to look after him as he came down. He's a bit of a head case, as we know, but look, he's had to do these trials. One more trial to go, probably next week, I understand. Yeah,
and I think you said, Paul, he's had a lot of work, even though he hasn't had any racing. He's had a lot of work, so if he does go into something like the Gold Cup, fitness might be there.
He's very fit horse. All
right, well, that was Joe Mayer on board. This was his thoughts afterwards with Ed Sadler.
I think I had the same Pakistan that we used to have early days. Tony Cruz and his team has done an amazing job to get him where he's at the moment. I'm extremely happy. I'm confident that they're going to trial him again and he's going to pass, and then we're probably going to see him at the races very soon.
There you go. Full steam ahead then for Pakistan Star. Hopefully we'll see him trialling again in the next week or so. On to Happy Valley then. And before we get into the first event, a couple of scratchings to pass on. Race number 4, Dr. Race is out. Shall Luck now starts. Derek Long will be in the saddle there. And race number 6, Alcazar is out, so good choice ahead. Also with Derek Long in the saddle. So there's 2 scratchings there for the 8-race programme. We kick things off then for meeting number 45. 8 races. We're on the A course as well. It's a Class 5 to get things underway over the 1650. Megatron heads the field. He's into the Class 5 for the first time. Victory Follow Me, who broke his maiden last time out on the all-weather. Fine With Me drops into Class 5 for the first time as well. The Legend from Barrier 5 and Joe Moreira. Dragon Dance behind Amazing Always last time out. Well beaten there, as was Cash Courier. Spicy Doubles, of course, and distance winner this season. And down to Oriental Fantasia. Takes the step up in trip from 1,000 to 1650.
All right, well, Dragon Dance is a noted horse to travel for, but he struggles in the concluding stages of his races, and Oriental Fantasia is another noted front runner, so those 2 should position up close to the speed. Celebration might be handy. Magical Champion, another one that could be nearer the pace. Fine With Me and Eastern Prowess, the 2 dropping in grey with Megatron are interesting. I think Megatron will push on from there.
Here he is now. You can see him himself. He's quite keen coming down here on the inside, just working with Very Sweet Orange. He didn't go too badly on debut, but Megatron thought was going a little bit better than Very Sweet Orange in this particular gallop. This was his final one leading in. Victory Follow Me finally won a race, didn't he? But didn't he win it well? He was very emphatic in that win. It was on the all-weather. He's going to come back now to the turf, but he's galloping okay on the turf, as you can see there. And the last one is Cash Courier, nice big strong horse. He's quite well rated now, and he gets a better draw, and I think his races have been going okay recently, so I wouldn't be surprised if he ran a better race than that first.
All right, okay. Cash Courier for David Hall, and Sam Clement just had one ride on the weekend, Sam, and he won on that Grade 1. Let's have a look at Victory Follow Me here. With Glen Ely Prize, wasn't a bad effort from him as well. This was the maiden victory, but he's travelled into it like an odds-on favourite there.
Took a long time, didn't it? 28 starts, but they can often take a long time to win one, and then they can win 2. We've seen it in the past. Interesting here that the pacifiers for his last 2 efforts have been on, obviously going onto the dirt. I think they've just got him focused a little bit. He's in his own world there with those pacifiers on. Now he comes back to the cheek pieces, which allows him a little more scope, doesn't it, to sort of search around. But, you know, he'll probably gain a little bit from that. He's worth tipping again, I think. Yeah,
I've got him in the numbers. He's come up favourite, so punters think he's like a London bus. Two will come along together. Took 28 starts for him to win one. Has the penny dropped? That's the question.
He stays in Class 5.
Yeah, he might just be a slow learner.
Right, OK. The Legends. He's had a start since here at Sha Tin, but I quite liked him this day. We didn't maybe get home.
Yeah, look, he just sort of loomed up, and then I thought he was a good chance going to Sha Tin, went back to 1400. Again, it was another reasonable run. I'm not going to sack him yet because he's drawn OK. I've got him in for the placings. I'm going to put Cash Courier in the tips as well because he's got a much better draw. Yeah,
and you can see he got quite well back there and just sort of ran home under his own steam. I've got him in. I have sacked the Legend. I've taken him out. Joe Moreira's aboard. You're going to get a short price price on him. All
right, yeah, he's 440 at the moment. One more to have a look at. We saw him in track work there in Megatron. This is him finishing 4th, of course, but this is in Class 4 company. He's now in Class 5.
His last 2 have been shockers, but he's had excuses, and prior to that he was 4th, and he had a little excuse on that occasion behind Wame Baby. Prior to that, from barrier 10, he got 3rd, but he led that race that Speedy Wally won. Now he's drawn 11 with a claim on, first time in the grade. I think Matthew Poon will be instructed to pursue the lead here.
I've got him in the numbers for 4th because I think he's really well rated at the moment, but just on a minor line.
All right.
His track record had been okay, as we saw.
Yeah, OK, so he's in for a minor spot, but who's the winner?
I'm going to put one we haven't talked about on Fine With Me. He's Natural Willow will take them out, barrier number 3. He was scratched at his last start, but and he missed a couple of days' work, but he's still a Class 4 winner coming down here into Class 5, but he's only a little horse and he's quite fit, so I think he's well placed. He should get a good run. Cash Courier, I think, will be an improver, and then the Victory Follow Me and Megatron, but I'll go exotics, but I think Fine With Me can run a race at a bit of a price.
It's quite an interesting mix, this Class 5. You've got 3 dropping in grade. I think that all create a little bit of interest. I'm going to try and not make it too complicated. 2, 6, 9, 5. Victory Follow Me, a brilliant winner last start. The Legend, Cash Courier, good draw. Glen Ely Prize ran OK, but there are certainly other hopes in the race. I didn't think it was an easy task, the first.
No, No, not really, but I'm with me. I'm with Paul on the opener on there, Francis Loy and Nash Rawiller. All right, one race down on the 8 race programme. Short break for us. 2 and 3 comes up next.